Hello, folks. This story was sent to me by a subscriber and is intended for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching. I took 5 grams of magic mushrooms one late afternoon, ready for an evening that I hoped would be both enlightening and fun. I had read about the profound shifts in perception and the deep connection people felt during these journeys, but nothing quite prepared me for what I was about to experience. I settled into my cozy living room with a blanket, a notebook, and my favorite playlist queued up, thinking I had all the essentials for a peaceful trip. The initial effects were gentle. Colors seemed brighter. The patterns on my rug started to ripple softly, and the air felt charged with a quiet energy. I laughed at the way the shadows danced on the walls, feeling a giddy sense of euphoria creeping in. About an hour in, the mushrooms began to peel back the layers of ordinary reality. Suddenly, my living room transformed. The furniture started to breathe like it had lungs, gently expanding and contracting with a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. The walls pulsed with a slow, living light. The carpet beneath me whispered secrets in a language I couldn't quite understand, but felt deeply. I tried to focus on the sounds, which grew clearer and more complex. The subtle creak of the house settling became a symphony of voices, each with distinct tones and accents. It was as if the building itself was alive and trying to communicate. I felt compelled to follow these voices, so I rose and began to explore my apartment like a curious child discovering a new world. Each room held a different atmosphere. The kitchen radiated warmth and smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon, even though I knew nothing was cooking. The bathroom was a shimmering pool of liquid light, reflecting kaleidoscopic patterns that invited me to dive in. As I moved through these spaces, I started to notice tiny creatures emerging from the corners of my vision. Brightly colored insects that flickered in and out of existence, their wings leaving trails of sparkling dust. They seemed friendly, buzzing around me, as if guiding me through a hidden ecosystem within my own home. I sat back down on the couch, overwhelmed, but fascinated. That's when the weirdness escalated. The ceiling above began to open, like the petals of a giant flower, revealing a swirling cosmic sky full of stars and nebulae. A voice, neither male nor female, spoke softly but clearly inside my mind. You are not just in this room. You are everywhere and nowhere. I nodded, even though I wasn't sure if I was responding aloud or within my thoughts. Suddenly, I was no longer in my living room. I was floating through a vast, surreal landscape made of flowing liquid glass and iridescent flora that hummed with life. Strange beings, part animal, part machine, approached me. They communicated not with words but with feelings and images, visions of ancient civilizations, endless libraries of knowledge, and wild forests where trees whispered history. One of these beings, resembling a giant praying mantis with neon eyes, reached out and touched my forehead. I felt a surge of understanding about the interconnectedness of all things, the cycles of life and death, and the nature of consciousness itself. But then, the trip took an unexpectedly humorous turn. Suddenly, the being started to morph into something entirely different. Tiny versions of my friends and family, all wearing absurd costumes and acting out scenes from a bizarre play. My best friend appeared as a flamboyant pirate cat, singing a terribly off-key sea shanty about lost socks and missing keys. My grandmother transformed into a wise-cracking owl that told bad jokes about squirrels stealing her acorns. I couldn't stop laughing, the silliness breaking through the cosmic profundity and grounding me with joy. Time became elastic. Minutes stretched into hours and then folded back onto themselves. I found myself in a peculiar diner where the menu was made of swirling colors and you could order emotions instead of food. I asked for a plate of pure curiosity and a side of nostalgia served by a waiter who was a sentient shadow. The diner's jukebox played a song that was a mashup of all my favorite tunes, somehow sounding fresh and alien at once. As the trip wound down, I found myself back in my apartment, the walls steady and the carpet silent. The whispering ceased, but the feeling of wonder lingered. I opened my notebook and tried to capture some of the images and thoughts. Though words felt inadequate, the experience was a roller coaster of the mystical and the ridiculous, a journey that expanded my mind while tickling my funny bone. When the effects finally faded, I sat in quiet amazement at what I'd witnessed. The universe had shown me its cosmic library, then performed a slapstick comedy just for me. It was strange, profound, and beautifully weird. The kind of trip that reminded me not to take life too seriously, while also inspiring awe for the mysteries that lie beyond our everyday perception.